think we figured it out, don't you? Look at that. Come on in here. I think that might even be just a male. Springtime fishing at its best. I mean, it's kind of been an up and down spring this year. We've had some cold weather, then really warm weather, then back to cold weather. It just keeps going back and forth, and it's really got these fish. You know, it's later this year. Everything's happening a little later. Last year, things were, you know, it was a real cold winter, but things heated up really quick. This year just seems to be a little off. You know, you come out and the fish will be on fire, and then you have a little cold front come through and it just sets them back. So we're a little further this year than typically the spawn, but it's on fire right now. So I might have to make these fish react on something such as a square bill or you know, a spinner bait or just some kind of moving bait. But we're going to try a little while on this little creature bait and see what happens. Hey, come up and hit me. Good one. Whatever it is. There he is. Come here, buddy. Nice fish. Nice fish. Well, had to. Dang. Had to switch it up to a spinnerbait and get over here on the windy side. That fish looks like she's just about to get there. She might still have a little bit of eggs in her, but she's trying. Right off that ramp right there, the end of that ramp. Pretty fish. Started out fishing more of the calmer side of the lake, flipping, a lot of flipping. Different baits, went through a variety of baits. Not very many bites. Sun finally got up high. Wind kind of picked up. So we made a small change and just moved to the other side of the lake where the wind was blowing into the bank. Picked up a spinnerbait, you know, just went searching. I'm just throwing a little bitty 5/16 War Eagle spinnerbait with a little turtleback on it. I like this bait because it moves real slow. I can keep it coming through the water real slow in the upper part of the water column. Just seems to be able to keep that bait in their face a little bit longer. So if they are on a bed, you know, the longer they look at it, the better they get at it, and they'll attack it. So as you can see, we just caught a really nice, I'm going to say he's probably a 5.5 pound fish. It was a beautiful fish. And I think I might have made less than 5 casts when I caught her. So let's see how the rest of the day goes and see what happens. That didn't take long. Come on. There we go. Oh, he come off. Little catch and release. Get away from the bank here a bit. So I was throwing a little smaller compact bait earlier. Wind picked up, got a little bit more wind, a little more stain. Pulled out a little bit heavier spinnerbait. This is actually a 3/8 here. A little bit bigger blades, a little more flash to it. I throw this on a lowrider. This is called an all-around. This is our all-around rod. It's really named exactly what it should be named, all-around, because it is an all-around rod. Like I use this rod for spinnerbaits, my smaller spinnerbaits, generally anything 3/8 down. Sometimes I'll throw a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait with this rod, but I use it for square bills. I use it for topwater. I like to throw walking baits and stuff like that on this rod. It really is a very versatile rod. When I go to a little bit bigger spinnerbait, the rod choice for me, and I also use it not just for spinnerbaits, but I use it for throwing a chatterbait. I like to throw a swim jig, and I like the action on this rod because the tip is real light, but I still have plenty of backbone to be able to get a big fish in. Not real big. Kind of a broken back, messed up back, some funny looking fish there, but well, it just seems to be a rock pattern today. I don't know if it's just because of the cold weather we had last night, and these rocks are holding the heat, and these fish are wanting to be by the heat, but we have literally fished a ton of wood out here on this little lake, and just perfect stuff that these fish would normally be in this wood, but they're just not. We haven't gotten not one bite out of the wood. Everything has literally come off of rock. So I think it's just one of those things. The wind's blowing real hard. It's blowing right into these rocks. I say real hard. I guess it's not that bad, but we got a good 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, you know, and it's blowing right into these rocks, and we're throwing a spinnerbait, and these fish are just reacting on it, and I would venture to say it's because these rocks are warm and they're holding tight to these rocks. So see if we can catch another good one. Come on in here. Oh, there still got her eggs. She still got, come right out of there. You know, just another reason for changing to a chatterbait versus a spinnerbait is that this bait will ride a little lower in the water column, where a spinnerbait will rise a little higher. You know, there is still some fish spawning here, and they got beds, you know, along through here. And if you run this bait through a bed, they're going to eat it. You know, they're going to attack it. So I'll pull out maybe 6-8 foot off the bank, and I can just slow crank this chatterbait down there and pick a few fish off that may be out off the bank. So in the springtime, when these fish are fixing to spawn, one of the things I like to do is stay close to the main body of water and fish big chunk rock bank. I know a lot of people go back in the pockets, man, they just get so much pressure at the backs of the pockets, and that seems to be like where everybody goes. But for me, I like to hang out closer to the main lake and even on the main lake. Not every fish will go back in these pockets and spawn. In fact, most of your big fish like to spawn out on the main body of water. They like to just get up there in these big rocks or on a flat or a point, and they'll just spawn right out on the main lake. I think we figured it out, don't you? Alright. Come on in here. Look at the slabs on that thing. Good thing I wasn't wanting to eat her. She sure would have some nice slabs on her. Nice fish, nice fish. So late in the day we switched to a chatterbait. Sun got up a little higher. These fish just seem to not want the spinnerbait like they did earlier this morning. I'm in belief that that chatterbait just gets a little lower in the water column coming across their beds. These fish, you can see her, look at her belly. She's in full spawn here. Tail's just now kind of getting bloody. She probably hadn't been up there very long on bed, but the old chatterbait come through her bed and she didn't like it. So that's the results. Beautiful fish, pretty fish. You know, today was just one of those kind of days where the fish are in so many different transition periods. There are some fish that are spawning. There's some fish that are pre-spawn. Some fish that are spawn out that are completely done. They're just in a wide variety of stages right now. And we just had to figure it out, you know, just slowly keep working at it. But, you know, one thing we did figure out was they did not want wood. They weren't around wood and they weren't around any kind of a grass. It was definitely a rock thing, which tells you that, for one, that the rocks is warm. We had a cold front come through, a little chilly night, but these fish are spawning, and where do they spawn? They like to spawn on the hard surfaces. So it's really no surprise that we caught them on rock, but we did have to have a bait change. You know, earlier in the day we were catching them more in the upper part of the water column on a spinnerbait. Went a while without any kind of bites whatsoever, so I picked up a chatterbait, saw some shad flipping around, picked the chatterbait up, went to throwing a chatterbait, and bam, you know, and I feel like most of the fish we caught this afternoon were all spawning fish. They all were full of eggs. You know, I believe what was happening was that chatterbait was just slower. It's going a little lower in the water column, and we were just coming across their beds, and they were attacking it. So all in all, a pretty good day. Had a lot of fun, caught a lot of fish, and it's April, so it's a blast in April in Oklahoma.